Hello everyone, and welcome to some more horrific news. Okay, this is a one I wasn't aware of, but I think it could be very interesting, so let's have a look at it. Blumhouse Games is more than a year ahead of schedule. The publisher shares its plans to release 9 low-budget, low-risk, high-potential horror games within 3 years. When horror movie specialist Blumhouse announced its move towards video games, it had initially planned to release its first title in 2026. Yet, at Summer Games Fest last month, the Blumhouse Games team revealed it had signed 6 games, including one that's out this year. We're kind of at capacity at the moment, Blumhouse Games president Zach Wood tells GamesIndustry.biz. We are further than a year ahead of schedule. Our plan was to start releasing games in 2026, but fear the spotlight is out this year. We have 3 in 2025, 3 in 2026, a couple in 2027, and we're going to maintain that pace. A few games a year, and making sure we have time to dedicate to each of them. The Blumhouse Games team currently consists of 7 employees, but expects to grow as its slate expands, and it offers all the usual things a publisher offers, including funding, marketing, sales, PR, quality assurance, and so on. Where things differ is in its focus on horror and its connection to its parent company. We can access the broader Blumhouse organisation, says CFO Don Sessler, like pairing up Brandon Cronenberg with Sam Barlow, that came from the Blumhouse film side. We tried to make that happen, and we're able to. He adds, there's a lot of creative support, whether it is filmmakers, directors, writers. We can provide narrative support. James Wan is a gamer himself, and we show him everything we're doing, and he's very excited. He gives us a lot of feedback and a lot of key art. It's a really great, eclectic, creative environment. The developers that Blumhouse works with typically retain the rights to their games. However, the firm gets the option to turn them into a film or TV show. We don't look at games through that lens, but certainly that is a bonus. Wood says, if something resonates with our audience, we have opportunities to make a film or a series, and that is exciting. But we endeavour to have our partners own the IP. We're not interested in taking ownership. It is their baby. We hope to be a long-term partner for them and keep working with them. We want to build a relationship, but this is their story. Sessler adds, but we do like to think that us having the movie and TV rights is a feature and not a bug. All 6 titles that Blumhouse has announced are original concepts: Fear the Spotlight, Sleep Awake, Chrysol, Theatre Vitals, Grave Seasons, The Simulation, and Project C. Yet the firm's film side produces some well-known horror franchises, including The Purge, Paranormal Activity, and Insidious. Wood says they have already received pitches for games based on Blumhouse movies, but the team was eager to prove itself with original concepts first. With existing Blumhouse IP, we want to get it right. We don't want to rush into anything, he says. So much of it is timing. It's the right idea, the right creative team to do it. Fans have expectations with our films, and we want to make sure we're doing things right by these properties. We will eventually do it for sure. We have seen a couple of pitches, and we will continue to look at them, but we wanted to start with a solid lineup of originals and come out strongly there, Sessler adds, and just build credibility and making great games, in and of themselves. So when we do something that is an IP, people will know the sort of quality experience we will deliver. So what exactly is a Blumhouse game? The firm's overall boss, James Bloom, says the company is going back to its roots with small budget, low risk, high upside projects that are creative and new, and there's certainly some unique concepts. The Simulation is a horror game within a horror game, for example, where Grave Seasons is a bloodthirsty farming sim. Blumhouse movies have so many subgenres of horror that they explore, and that is something we want to mirror in the games as well, says Blumhouse creative lead Louise Blaine. Some people are surprised with some of these things. Wow, really? A farming sim with murder? There are creative twists in horror that Blumhouse does so well with its movies, and we're taking that across the games. We want to embrace all of the horror in all of its forms. She continues, all of these games are playing in interesting ways in that horror sandbox. People might think they have an idea of what horror games are, incredible games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and some people might not like that. Maybe they're too scary or too gory, but they like horror in other forms. Like maybe they feel safer reading a horror book, so it's finding an attraction for those people. To be a Blumhouse Games, you have to be in that world and explore scary stories in a different way. We're just looking for great things to make you go, yes, that is what happened with Fear the Spotlight. We played it and we became immediately excited about it. It's a great story with tactile mechanics. It felt really good. It's creepy. It had all these things that naturally appealed to us, and we felt would appeal to other people. Wood, Sessler, and Blaine are currently enthusiastic about its slate. Wood feels that Fear the Spotlight scratches an itch of a good 1990s teen horror and will make a great TV show or film. Sessler is enthusiastic about the multiple layers offered by the Simulation. It's nothing you've played before, he says. Meanwhile, Blaine feels that Grave Seasons will be a surprise for players. People will look at it and think it'll be a horror story layered over a farming experience. But that's not what it is, she says. It's a cohesive game. It is equally horror and farming experience. Is all the better for that. Is embracing its genre. It knows what it is, but it's also subverting expectations too. I think it will surprise people in a delightful way. It's a good time for horror fans. There are upcoming new games and remakes from established franchises, including Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Little Nightmares, and Until Dawn. There are promising new projects from big name game game developers such as Slitterhead, the casting of Frank Stone, and OD, and that's before you get to the 9 games that Blumhouse is working on over the next 3 or 4 years. It may seem congested, but horror isn't a genre in the same way that a first-person shooter or RPG are genres, and that's why the team at Blumhouse is confident, and there's not just room for these games, but space for a publisher that's dedicated entirely to funding it and releasing them. I don't think we'll ever run out of ways to tell scary stories, Blaine concludes, but I don't think anyone will ever get bored of them, as long as they're different, as long as they're innovative, and as long as they're creative. I've been a consumer of scary stories since I read my first Goosebumps book Under the Covers, and the different way games can tell those stories are constantly surprising. The human experience is the experience fear, and as long as we can tap into that and explore that in safe places, I don't think there'll be any shortage of horror to come. Right, and that is it. Tell you what, folks, I am optimistic about this. I have to say, this is different. Like the gaming industry at the moment, there's a lot of antagonism, if you know, with like the mainstream games, not just the customers and the creatives are butting heads for some strange reason. Blumhouse has always been consistent that they didn't get involved in that. That's one thing I can say about Blumhouse movies. You can say that they're, I don't know, what can we say about Blumhouse? You know, they're safe, they're mainstream, you know, they do what they do. They're like a serving of lasagna, you know what I mean? It's comfort food. You're not going to get anything super edgy or out there with them, and at times that's fine. What I've noticed though, they've stayed true to the horror genre throughout it. You know, they've focused on telling stories, and even with their like long run franchises, at least they make a bit of an effort with them. You know, you kind of know what you're getting into with a Blumhouse movie, and I don't think you're ever disappointed, if that makes sense. Like I've covered quite a few Blumhouse movies, not, and also with their collaboration with Atomic Monster, that's opened up a whole lot of new doors. A lot of horror games are survival, you know, very, very basic. That's one of the reasons why a lot of them are just repetitive. I think Blumhouse are onto a good thing here. Like everything they're saying is positive. They're going to try the different sub-genres. They're using different games, just putting a horror spin on it. Well, that appeals straight away to an entire wide range of audience. Notice they never said diversity or anything like that. They just said range of games, which in itself appeals to a range of people. That's what you want. Like the farming simulators, that'll attract people that might normally play Silent Hill or Resident Evil, and that's cool. I'm actually quite excited about this. This is the way to go. If you want to get an audience on board, tell them that you're trying to make a good product. Tell them you want them to be excited for it. Why don't we get why don't get companies speaking like us anymore? That's one thing. If you've seen any of my reviews, the only time I've slagged off Blumhouse is when they bought the Exorcist franchise, and I just thought it was silly. They paid too much for something that was already a dead duck, and they hired Dave Gordon Green. So if he falls in front of a bus sometime, that'll be cool. And if they forget he ever existed and crack on with what they're doing. But I think he blotted his copybook. You know why the industry's very quiet, but notice he's not pushed to the forefront anymore. Like he left the next project and he's kind of filtered into the background. So Blumhouse are smart in that respect. They know their audience and they don't preach to the audience. They just try and provide popcorn flicks at the end of the day for the horror genre, which is cool. It's inoffensive. It's not trying to call us names, and they're just embracing who we are. And what they're doing here is they're making a range of games. So there's 9 games in development. They're all different, and that's cool. You know what I mean? I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing, let's say the first one was called Fear the Spotlight. So the first game, Fear the Spotlight's coming out, so keep an eye out for that there. But what do you think, folks? Are you excited about this? I am. I'm actually, I think this will be a good thing for gaming and the horror industry, and they could actually really tap into a market of people who are burnt out with just mediocre bad games and then fighting with the audience and fighting with the customer essentially. You know, I think people are just tired of that and we just want them to go, here, we're going to try and make some stuff and we hope you enjoy it. It's amazing that that's revolutionary in this day and age, people saying that. So there you go, there's that. Let me know what you think, and until next time, keep up the channel, do the type of clicky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.